What up, 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 up what, up what, up what. I thought I'd reverse it this time. What up, up what, right? You know, say just to add something different for no reason at all. But anyway, everybody, what's going on out there, America? It's the Brooklyn Bears Ball Sports Talk Show. We're back in the building again. We are now headed into the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, respectfully. We've got a lot of good matchups right now. We're going to talk about Miami. We're going to talk about can they actually prevail, you know what I'm saying, against the Boston Celtics and Jason Tatum. My God, is he putting on a show. And, of course, we got my Lakers in the building, the unexpected champions of the world that are in the Western Conference Finals against the Denver Nuggets, man. Listen, we got so much to talk about today. But, listen, we got some coaching firings, all that good stuff. Me and Don going to break it down as we always do. But before we get into it, smash the like button, put your comments in, share, like, do all the things you need to do to promote the show, push the show. We appreciate all the love y'all been giving us. We definitely love what we do, and we appreciate all the support. So, Big D, what's good with you, man? You ready to get it in?
Oh, man, it's all good, man. I think it's going to be a really good playoffs. I think the conference finals are going to be really good. I'm interested to hear, your takes on the Lakers, Denver, because that to me is the most interesting series out of what's left. I think ultimately I would think that the winner of the Western Conference Finals will be the NBA champ, but we'll see what happens. But
I like that. I like that. Okay.
Without further ado, man, let's get into it. Okay, the most exciting series, as I stated, is the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets, and this is a rematch of the bubble, right? I think both teams are different. They're not the same teams that they met in the bubble. I think there are more levels to their game. I think, of course, let's start with the Lakers. I think the Lakers in the bubble, as compared to now, had more big bodies to throw at Jokic. And I think personally, that's going to be a glaring hole or an advantage for Denver, because you don't have Dwight Howard and you won't have JaVale McGee and Anthony Davis, of course. So I think Jokic is going to have, I won't say his way, but I do think that he is going to be able to score with greater ease than normal. Because if you have all these people going at you, whether they're fouling you, banging, that kind of stuff, it does impact your overall, ability to put up points, play defense. And as we know, he's not known for, defense, but I will say that I think the impact will be greater. Now, as it pertains to Denver's bench, I think Denver's bench is really deep. I think that they have chemistry, obviously a lot of chemistry playing together, and they have, their role players are actually really good. Some have some really good experience, like KCP, Reggie Jackson. So, I mean, he's so deep in the bench, but he has a lot of playoff experience.
Sure.
So it's going to boil down, as obviously the playoffs and it gets closer to the championship, will those players that LeBron and AD and Jokic and Murray depend on to round out the team, will they still be able to perform? Or will they get tight and not be able to perform because the magnitude of the moment becomes so big? What do you say?
No, I definitely agree with you when you make the point about this being a different team. I mean, the makeup is a lot different. And to me, again, I love me some KCP, man. I did, because not only was he a great one-on-one defender, good on ball pressure, to be not really a big guy, you know what I'm saying? Not a lot of height, but he could almost defend anybody, particularly the 2 and the 3 position. And he was a really good 3-point shooter. So I think, not having him, because he was actually guarding Murray at the time when they were in the bubble. And he was very, very effective in handling a lot of the wing guys that we played during that run. But it's different. You're right. No McGee. You've got no Howard. Again, I do expect to see a little bit more of Wyman Gabriel playing a little bit more. Again, I thought he gave us some good minutes in the Memphis series, and a little bit here in the Golden State series. I think we'll probably see a little bit more of him. And again, I think and I think DeMarcus, when he was on the show with us the last time, I think again he brought out something that I still think could be a factor. Again, if AD uses his quickness against Jokic, as we know, skilled in every area and just like so mythical with what he does. We still don't understand how he does what he does, and he can't even jump on a curb, you know what I mean? But yet, and he's real slow-footed and everything, but still just continues to just butcher people with his ball skills and his intelligence. And so, but I do think AD will have the advantage there. It's going to be real tough. They're going to try to run a lot of pick and rolls like Golden State did. I'm sure they looked at the tape, looked at film, saw where Golden State was hurting us in that. The Lakers, again, are going to have to rotate. AD is going to, again, it's going to be on him to be able to neutralize the paint a little bit more. Because the thing with Denver is that though they have mid-range and they have outside shooting. Unlike Golden State can shoot mid-range, but they just choose not to do that. They just rather shoot three. So it made it a little bit easier for us. So it's either a layup or a three, right? But the mid-range was not something that they did. I thought John Morant killed us a little bit on that too in the early series against Memphis. The Lakers can get a little weak right there in the middle in the paint. And so how they make that adjustment, whether to play off the pick and roll, play back, or try to defend the guy that's going to try to come in with the floaters like Murray does a lot, it's going to be difficult. I'm interested to see how a lot of Lakers are going to play this. Again, I think if we can get game one, and I'm going to just say this again, if the Lakers get game one tonight, as we have in every series, D, I think we're going to win the series. And of course, we got to take one in Denver eventually, right, in order to win the series. But nothing like game one. If you get game one and then let Denver put pressure on them to adjust, then we'll see. I'll say this last point. Again, I like the way our defense can swarm, with Schroeder and then with Vanderbilt. I think we've got some ability there where we could, again, switch, play hard. Reeves is playing some pretty good defense as well, and again, AD is anchoring it all on the back end. So I like our defense. Our defense was good in the bubble and is good this year too. And we'll see, man. But Denver's a tough matchup, so I'm very nervous about this series. Very nervous. I got my Lakers winning this series, and most of it has to do with 80% of my heart. But again, if we were not to prevail, it would definitely be understandable. This team is much better than when they were, I think, in the bubble, and they're more prepared now. So, yeah.
Okay, so what do you think is the Lakers' distinct advantage? How do they win? Because if you go player for player, bench for bench, it's pretty evenly matched, right? There's not going to be a glaring advantage that the Lakers have, like size. Like when they played the Warriors, they were a much bigger team and they played inside, so that was a distinct advantage that they could abuse, right? Because the Warriors were, a 3-point shooting team, and if they hit them, they could hit 23s. But if they missed, then it would be, obviously kind of yield to a blowout that we have seen. So what do you think is their distinct advantage?
I still think our advantage is still size in the sense of still being able to go into the paint and score. If LeBron can drive, if LeBron facilitates and set things up on the inside, and then again with AD in the middle to making Jokic play defense, which he's not really great at. So, I mean, we have the advantage with AD if he gets aggressive and plays with that mindset that we all call for him to play with regularity. If he doesn't zig and zag, if he could get a zenith in there, right? But I think if you go with AD in the middle, with LeBron also abusing down, we lead the league in drawing fouls, and because we play inside a lot. So, and again, Denver's a really good team, but I think we can still do some things with them inside as opposed to the perimeter with KCP and Murray and those guys and Brown, where they're really good perimeter. They're really good defensively on the perimeter, but inside, I think we have opportunity to prevail. And then the second thing I would probably say is that with the Lakers, we have guys that can score. Hachimura was big in round one. Walker was big in round two. Reeves is consistently playing well. We have other guys that can kind of beat you. We're not just limited only to AD and LeBron. D'Lo can get off, and he can end up having an explosive game. Whereas for Denver, I don't think that they have that. I mean, Porter needs to show up, as I think DeMarcus was saying that. Porter needs to show up. They're going to need to get more from him, but he hasn't really done a lot in these playoffs. And, Gordon is good, and Gordon, obviously a high flyer, very athletic. He can, tend to come off as well. But again, I still think the buck stops with either Murray or Jokic, and those are the two guys that need to play well. Where we've seen the Lakers, where AD was somewhat subpar offensively, right? LeBron has been, even though LeBron has averaged pretty well, but even he can have his moments. But then we see the unexpected heroes that would just show up for the Lakers and really make a difference. And I think that's where we have the advantage, where we have guys that can still score on our team other than Denver, that I don't think they have guys that you're going to see really taking control in these pivotal moments of the series. So those are the two advantages: inside play and the unexpected heroes that the Lakers could have on any given night.
I tend to disagree. I think that Denver actually has a really, outside of Murray and Jokic, they have a really good team and a deep bench. Bruce Brown, I mean, they have won games where, Jokic didn't have to have a ridiculous game. Bruce Brown, I think in the closeout game against the Suns, I think he had something like 28 points. Him and KCP put up some really 20-plus point games. So I think they have the players. If I had to give an advantage to or had to assess this series, I would say the advantage is two things, or something that could cause an advantage. If Anthony Davis is not consistent throughout, those zigzag games, you can do it with certain teams. You can't do a zigzag with this. And what I mean by zigzag is highs and lows. 30-point game, 15-point game, 12-point game. That won't work in this series, all right? The stakes are too high.
I agree.
And I think something that is going to be put into question is Darvin Ham versus Mike Malone. Advantage Mike Malone. I think he has a, he's a straight shooter, but I think he has the coaching edge. I think he's going to be able to make the adjustments necessary to maximize his players. And I think that there are going to be some advantages, because although it's not a glaring advantage size-wise with Denver and the Lakers, I think that their defensive players perform better. I think I would like to see, I think D'Lo can be neutralized. I think Reeves can be neutralized. And I think it is vitally important for Denver to win the first game. I think that they need to set the tone, and I think that they will.
I agree.
And I think that they're going to win convincingly. Now, odds makers have them as a 6.5-point favorite. Yeah. And so I think that they're going to win convincingly. And when I say convincingly, I predict that the Lakers will lose by 10 plus, double-digit loss in game one. I think that they have to establish it, and they have to get the Lakers to really try to adjust. Because as you stated, the Lakers have won game one throughout the playoffs. And that sets the tone where, Denver, it's going to be Denver's job to, quote unquote, put the Lakers in their place. Hey, you're a play-in team. We're the number one seed. Let's relax. They're going to have to really put them in their place, because if just like anything else, if they allow the Lakers to dictate how the series goes, then they don't have a chance. But I think it is important. I think they have been, I think they've been waiting for this matchup. I don't think that they really, obviously they didn't like how it turned out in the bubble for them. And I think this is their opportunity. They're hitting on all cylinders. And I think this is an opportunity for them to make a statement. Number one, team-wise. Number two, Jokic can now say, yes, you know what? I've won these MVPs, but I'm just not just the run-of-the-mill, European player that they just, kind of, oh yeah, he's good. But playing against the Lakers is would provide a statement win for the Nuggets and
Right.
for Jokic that, yo, listen, we beat LeBron James, we beat
Right.
Anthony Davis, and you see
Right.
how they ran through all the other teams. Memphis, they ran through the champions. Now, this is putting your money where your mouth is. This is the proof in the pudding, because we see Embiid, as we'll talk about Embiid later, but you see how
Right.
Embiid, it was all about the MVP. Because when the rubber hit the road, he self-destructed in when it really mattered. It was a me award. And I think Jokic, I don't think he sweats the MVPs, but the fact that they started questioning, we had Kendrick Perkins questioning, was it rigged because of who was voting and all. This is his opportunity to make a statement. This is his opportunity to say, you know what? I am the biggest, I am the best big man in the league. Here's why. I went up against teams, a team that was making quick work of all the other teams that they thought were better than us. So I think this is a golden opportunity for Jokic to make a statement and the Denver Nuggets to make a statement. So if I give any advantage, it would be coaching and it would be the bench of Denver. I think it's better and deeper than the Lakers.
I'll just say this. Here's my quick retort to that. You talk about Bruce Brown and how he scored a lot in the game. I'll be honest with you. The thing is with those guys and just with Denver and the matchups that they've had thus far, again, they haven't really played a good defensive team. I mean, Minnesota is really Gobert, right? That's it. I mean, he's their defensive anchor when you look at that team. Phoenix has no defense, none. Booker and KD is not giving you any defense. They have no one that can hold anybody, and Ayton is Ayton, right? So that we'll just leave it at that. But they have no defense, and so I think that's the difference that I think you're going to see. And this is why I believe this is a sneaky win for the Lakers in game one, and I got them winning actually by 6. I think we're going to win this game tonight, only because again it's the defensive pressure of what they're going to see. And we're not really the play-in team, right? I mean, it's always about, as anybody would say, once you get into the playoffs, it's a whole new season. Anybody that has a LeBron James on their team, they're not thinking that's a play-in team, right? AD is playing lights out, healthy, which is what the Lakers always needed, was for both those guys to stay healthy and to get the supporting pieces that they now have. And so, this I don't look at Denver as a team that they're a good team, very good team. But they haven't proved anything yet to say that, they need to put the Lakers in their place. If the Lakers win this series, it's still going to feel like the Lakers were supposed to win this series, play-in and all, because at the end of the day, the way we've been playing, the way our defense has been, the way AD and LeBron has been playing, and Darvin Ham has been doing a really good job with his matchups, with making adjustments, benching guys that don't do well, that don't fit, not because they're not necessarily playing well, because they just don't fit in what the other team is trying to do to us, which I think has been great. Even starting Schroeder in the closeout game against Golden State. Again, really good. Golden State had to face the wrath. They didn't play anybody with defense with Sacramento. And again, Denver hasn't seen a defense like that. Now, for us, it's unusual because we haven't seen a size like this and a depth like this as well. So, no, you make valid points. I totally agree with you there. I think there's more evenness, if you will, equilibrium between both teams to a degree, although Denver is a little bit deeper and their players are, I think, a little bit better because, again, like you say, D'Lo can get shut down. Reeves could get neutralized, right? I'm not saying Reeves is going to go out there and score 25 a night, but he's been definitely playing really, really good basketball. And for me, with AD, I'll say this last point, he doesn't need to, again, to your point, no, he can't score 12 points. No, he can't, get 12 and 15. That won't really work unless it's to the point where the game is hard fought. And I always look at it like if your defense is still anchoring well, whatever AD doesn't score, he's making sure that somebody else on the other team isn't meeting their average as well. So that would kind of neutralize it. So I think if you have a situation like that, then all things are considered equal. But yeah, but AD doesn't need to have 35, but he should get at least 25. And if he can get 15 to 16, then that's a pretty good night considering what everybody else will contribute. But I agree with you in part. But I just don't think Denver's a team that's going to look at us and we need to put y'all in. No, trust me, they're just as shook.
But that's the point. That's my point. What is the knock on Denver? Because it's not Denver didn't sneak up on anybody, right? They've been having a 50 win seasons plus win seasons for the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're a surprise
for it,
team. That's my exact point. This is their opportunity. This is a golden opportunity.
Oh,
for
yeah,
them
yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah.
So it's not a.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Oh, yeah, they're good, but this is their opportunity to put an end to that. They're good, but. And what team better to do it against than your Los Angeles Lakers?
I
LeBron
totally agree.
James, arguably the best player in the league, best player ever, and AD that's playing at a high level. I think this is a great matchup. This is a great matchup, and it's going to be a litmus test for a lot of reasons. Is he a fraud? Is Jokic a fraud? Is he, Peyton Manning of the NBA, who balls out in the regular season, and when it comes time for the playoffs, they always fizzle out, right? Because this could be the Colts. This could be a team that just looks good, but never gets over the hump. And I think this is their opportunity. No injuries, no significant injuries.
No.
Team is intact. They've been playing. Jokic was dealing with a calf injury. He came back.
Yeah.
They dropped games towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
But he's relatively healthy. All of the players are relatively healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lakers can't really say, oh, we were dealing with this and what if and if this person. So there's really no excuse across the board.
No, for either team. Yeah.
Not for either team. And
Right.
so we want to kind of shut down but we were a playing team. Right? There's no excuse. Me and you agree. If they lose in 5 or they win in 7, however it goes, there's no excuse. Unless
no. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to give you the We Try Hard award that we was that we was a play in and look where we went. No, not for the Lakers.
2 and 10. I don't want to hear about 2 and 10 anymore.
Yeah. Huh?
Well, no. This team doesn't have 17 banners. And that's the problem with Laker fans.
But when you put on a Laker jersey, you're walking into it's the standard of the organization. Like we win.
Well, let me explain something to you.
That's all we do.
Interesting enough, I was I watched a couple of days ago. Skip and Shannon had Snoop Dogg on, and did you see that? I missed it. They asked him where is LeBron in that. Best Lakers, top tier of Lakers. And he had him like number 8. Because he hasn't provided any hardware, right? They got the one championship.
Well, we got the one chip,
with LeBron. Yeah,
then
he ran down a whole list. Worthy, Magic, Kareem, Shaq and Kobe. He had LeBron.
Yeah. That's fair.
You agree with that?
Most Laker fans would agree with that. Yeah, we would agree with that.
I'm asking you. I don't know.
We don't put LeBron. I don't put LeBron in the pantheons of all the great Lakers of that level. He's not with the Kareem, the Magics, the Worthy, the Shaq, and the Kobe. Okay, the Elgin Baylors, the Jerry West, even who lost a lot of chips.
9
against. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but I don't even
1-9.
think he's. Yeah, I don't even think he's as good as him, or I will put him in that level with Wilt, only because of this. I would say because again, those teams had better teams, right? LeBron had to come in and redo the Lakers, right? He came in, the team was flat. We had nothing to work with per se, right? Bad coaching hires with Byron Scott and Dan and Mike D'Antoni, 2 horrible hires that I felt set the Lakers back. Lakers could have had about at least 3 chips by now if they didn't hire those 2 dudes. They didn't know how to develop. D'Antoni benches Gasol, doesn't want to, playing his 7 seconds or less crap, all of that stuff. And I don't want to waste time going into all of that. But what I'm saying is that it was bad hires. Byron Scott didn't know how to develop the Brandon Ingrams, the Randalls, the D'Los, the Balls. He had good players.
It wouldn't have mattered. Y'all got rid of them anyway. It wasn't
we had to. But here's the thing: LeBron could have came into a better situation with those guys had they been a little bit more developed. But Byron Scott don't play rookies. He don't like young players. He likes.
Well, LeBron doesn't want to play with rookies either.
Well,
he wants to play with veterans.
No, right. But I'm saying, but by the time LeBron got there, maybe some of those guys, not all of them, but some of those guys could have been a little bit better where LeBron would have said, okay, we could keep an Ingram, right? Because when he left, like Randall, like D'Lo, who made an all-star team with your team with Brooklyn, they played better once they got out of there because, again, Byron Scott was a horrible coach. Never
So
was
is
really
that
a
the
good
coach? Is that the system, or is that playing with
That
LeBron?
was the coach because and then not only that, after that, we got worse and brought in Luke Walton, who couldn't do anything with those guys, right? So Luke and Byron Scott, Mike D'Antoni, those three last hires were horrible. So LeBron, unlike Magic, Kareem, and Kobe and Shaq, who had success in the playoffs but just couldn't get past San Antonio when they had Del Harris, who was a good coach. He was getting 50 games a year, and they was in the playoffs, but they just couldn't get past San Antonio until Phil came in, right? So there was different dynamics. LeBron had to deal with, he had no coach, he had no team. So he had to rebuild the Lakers to get them to where they are. And then plus, he's on the back end of his career. He was hurt a lot over these last few years. We got a little bit older LeBron than what Cleveland and Miami had. So yeah, I agree with Snoop in that sense where I don't know if Snoop brought out those points, but I mean, he's never going to be to those guys unless he brought in 5 chips.
Well, I think it was a combination.
I think he'd be good.
I think it was a combination of the how long those players that he put ahead of LeBron played for the Lakers,
right,
and what they bought, how many championships.
Right.
He said, you only got one ring. If you get, the rest of them, he was doing the whole hands. People got hardware, right? And you got one ring.
Right. He might get one more ring. He could get a ring this year. And then I think that's it. I don't think LeBron, actually, I would not be surprised, people, if LeBron was to shock the world and retire if the Lakers win a chip. I honestly think that. I really think that he could actually.
So what happened to the whole?
He needs the rest of his contract.
What happened to the whole thing? He wanted to play with Bronny Jr. Like, why?
He could come back. He could unretire and come back. He could unretire and do that. He could unretire and do that.
Why would he do that? He would.
Why would he not?
At that point? For what? He's going to sit at 38. You better keep moving. You're going to sit out a year?
LeBron can.
He's only playing 40 games anyway. What does it matter?
It doesn't matter. As long as LeBron gets out there when Bronny plays. Bronny's not going to play for the Lakers, right? So if he's on a team, all you got to do is be on a team. And LeBron will get some minutes. He's going to be in reserve role. Like, LeBron is not going to be that LeBron anymore. So even if he plays next year, he's still going to have to take a more of a decreased role because the man will be 39 years old at that time. He's not going to be that. I mean, I know it's, and the reason, but I'll tell you this, and I still think LeBron is still one of the greatest. What he's giving you at 38 and being still on the third NBA all NBA team is amazing. Kobe, Jordan, all these guys, except Kareem, who didn't have to do a lot, but just do a hook shot, really. He didn't have to control the ball and do all that LeBron was doing. Guys, it's still remarkable. Like, what we're seeing is greatness this is greatness. And I don't want to get back into that. But at 38 years old and still being an integral part of a team's success and making an all-NBA team, that is still amazing, guys. I mean, like, I don't know how much more we could actually expect from LeBron. He's doing what guys in their mid-20s or in their prime are not even doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the only reason why he's not up there. He's got injuries and he came on a bad team. He had to reconstruct and do all over again. If he didn't push for the AD trade, then LeBron is definitely, he would be nothing in the Laker uniform. But he had to do what Magic and him didn't have to do. Magic came drafted by a championship team. I mean, we got to put it in context. In fairness to LeBron, those guys had great teams and coaches, by the way. So, yeah,
okay.
we got to put it.
All right, well,
yeah,
no problem. Okay. So let's get a series prediction. And you already said that you think that they're going to win tonight by 6. I have Denver winning by double digits this game. So what do you have in the series?
Score-wise or for the series? Oh, I got Lakers in 6. I got Lakers in 6. I got Lakers in 6. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people making shirts and profiting off of Lakers in 6 stuff. Yeah. Listen, I'm so tempted, and you're going to think that this is out of line. I'm so tempted to say Denver in 5. I really want to say Denver in 5.
I know you do. I know you do.
But out of respect for you, I'll say Denver in 6. I think they're going to be able, and I could be way off. I mean, listen, if I was all right and every prediction I ever made came through, I would live in Vegas somewhere. I wouldn't have to have a job. I would be just that have the big glasses on, like Robert De Niro in Casino. I would just be making all of these picks. But obviously, I'm basing it off of the fact that I think that this is a really, really good team. Both teams are playing really well. I think it's going to boil down to the role players and what they do. And I think we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's move on because we spent a lot of time talking about your Lakers.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's talk about the Heat and the Celtics. Now, there's been a lot of fallout from how the series ended with the Celtics and the 76ers. We'll get to Joel Embiid and why he is you can't win with him. But in the series with the Heat and the Celtics, I think the magical run of the Heat playing, I think it should come to an end. I think it'll go. I think Jimmy Butler has been phenomenal. I think the other role players, Bam Adebayo, he comes and goes. But I think the shooting has been phenomenal. From Strus and who else is there? Duncan Robinson. So they have good shooting. I think that'll win you 1 or 2 games. But the Celtics are so deep and they're a big team. I think they should impose their will. Now, if it takes 4 or 5 games for Tatum to get off, because Tatum, he can ball out. He can give you 51, but then he can give you a game where he has 2 points going into the fourth quarter. Now, he can end up with 16 or 18 in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
But with a team like the Heat, maybe you can do that with him because you have a big advantage size-wise, right? And bench. You have a huge advantage bench-wise because they're incredibly deep. But this is going to be based on now. Huge advantage is coaching. Spoelstra can work magic with what he has. Mazzulla, he's still working it out, and he still wants kudos for making. Well, you see, nobody didn't ask me nothing about the coaching decision. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do. You're paid to X's and O's and strategically set your team up for success. So don't expect everyone, and especially the Boston media, to throw you a parade. They'll throw you a parade if you win it all, but the in-game or game-to-game inserting a player and inserting Robert Woods into the starting lineup. But that means a lot, though,
D. You don't think so?
It means something, but a coach shouldn't ask you at a press conference, well, how come nobody asked me about, inserting Robert Woods? Or what? I mean, that's like...
Okay, I didn't hear that. So what was he trying to heap some praise on himself by?
Right, because he was asking them because they had lost the game. He made a change up in the lineup and they were asking him about it, but like kind of the press conference was over and he's looking for kudos for doing his job. Like, your job is to coach. Your job is to, try to find a weakness or a point where you can maximize a player, or an advantage and utilize that. Hey, this player, if I put this person in, this person may help. I have Horford and I'll have, Williams in, and that might be beneficial size-wise, rebounds, defense. That's, outside of other stuff.
I'll say this real quick to that, and I'll let you get back to your point just real quick. Don't lose your thought. But I was going to say, you know what? As we see the coaching issues as of recent, right? Guys getting fired, coach of the year candidates and real actual coach of the year coaches getting fired. And again, Joe Mazzulla, it's not expected of him. Like, he's only, he's a young coach, 34 years old. I don't think, and he might be pointing this out like to say, hey, look, I'm, considering all that's happening with these coaches getting fired, I'm coaching my butt off, and I'm not expected to do that, right? Because again, he's being compared to Udoka and still, having to be in that shadow. So I think he's kind of like, look, I'm just gonna let people know, like, yo,
Nah, I can't
you
give
know,
him that
I don't really
because
see that
it's
wrong
the
with it because
same
nobody
exact
expects, because
team.
they'll blame him just as quickly as they would give him credit, right?
Yeah, but they're the same exact team. Actually, they got better. They got, Malcolm Brogdon. It's a better team. It's not like, okay, Brad Stevens prior to Ime Udoka couldn't get them over the hump.
Right.
Then Ime Udoka, his first year, gets them to the finals. That is something to talk about. If you step away and you have the same exact team and you've actually added some pieces to it, if you don't make it to, like, just think if Embiid was really the MVP, and really think if Embiid put a team on his shoulder, it would have been a failure if they would have lost in game 6. Right? If Doc Rivers could make any type of X's and O's changes and try to get the team to get over the hump with Harden, with Maxey, with Joel Embiid, and could win, that would be, I think you see your point exactly. You see winning coaches that have championships still getting fired. So the fact that you bought a team that was already intact and you inherited a team that made it to the finals the year before, don't expect anybody to be like, wow, what did you really do? Oh man, you really put Robert Williams in? Robert Williams was already on the team. It's understood that he's a vital part. He can jump out of the gym.
Right.
He was just dealing with a knee injury.
But what about but it's about the adjustments, right? Like, in other words, you can have the pieces and the players, right? Which Brad had, which Ime Udoka had, but it's how he used them, especially at a deficit, right? Because that series should have been closed out in 6, and it would have been an epic failure for Boston, right? Because now, Mazzulla doesn't even get to the conference finals. At least Brad got there. Udoka takes them to the finals. So a little kudos there for Mazzulla, because, again, even though it's the same team, and you're right, they added Brogdon, so they got a little better, but it's all about adjustments, right? It's all about how he made key adjustments and bringing guys in and out and seeing with his back against the wall. And again, Tatum gets a lot of credit for just being the better player on the court. But at the end of the day, I think what he's trying to say is like, yo, I want to bring some context to this from an X and O's position, and to say, look, media, I know y'all like to ask these broad questions about stuff, but let me just throw a little X and O's on you. Like, I brought this guy in. I adjusted this lineup here. I brought a guy in for a stretch that gave us some good minutes and played some good defense, and that was making the difference too. Y'all just looking at Harden and Embiid and Tatum and Brown, but the game is bigger than that, and as a coach, I did my job. Like, yes, it's expected of me to do my job, but if he loses or Boston loses, he's going to be getting the blame just like that. So I just think we got to give him a little love on that. I think he's okay with that.
Okay.
That's all. That's all.
So who do you have winning the series, and in how many games?
I think Miami's willpower comes to an end, because I think that's really what it's all about for them. Sproles is a good coach, good defense, but I do think they're going to need a lot of, like, Jimmy Butler just, doing what he does based on willpower. And I think they lose here. I think talent prevails. The better, deeper team prevails. So I like Boston in 5, actually. I think they just got too much momentum now. Yeah, I got Boston in 5. Yeah, I think they're going to get through this quick.
I think Miami will be able to win 2 games. I like Boston in 6. I think Miami, based on the things that you described, the will, the fact that Jaylen Brown and Tatum, not so much Jaylen Brown, but more so Tatum, can take games off.
Yeah.
Where he can be, 1 of 12. And I think those games are the games that Miami will take full advantage of. If one of them has a off shooting night, I think Miami will take those games. They'll take full advantage of it, because they do have veterans on that team. And I think they'll understand that they're undermanned, right? They'll understand that they are, yes, they're an 8th seed, but they understand that they are dealing, after beating the Bucks, they should have supreme confidence that it doesn't matter about the stats or
Right.
the placing of where we're meeting. We're meeting in the conference finals for a reason. And I think if Tatum or Jaylen Brown, the best thing they need to do, unfortunately other teams haven't, is make it a quick series. And I think the inconsistency of Tatum more so than Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown is pretty consistent. You know what you're going to get with him pretty much every game.
Right.
Tatum is the one that can sometimes bring it on later on in the game. He might have a bad shooting night and, try to. So I think it'll be, long story short, Celtics in 6. But I think Miami will get at least 2 games.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's fair. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes 6. Yeah. I just think at some point, I like 5 only because I just think Miami is going to just wear out. Boston just has to make sure they move the ball. Don't get unless Tatum is on fire like he was in Game 7. But they got to be careful not to be like the Knicks, more ISO ball, because that kind of plays into Miami's hand. You got to move the ball a little bit. So I agree. If they do that, they should be good. Mm-hmm.
Now, touching on the series that allowed them to go to the conference finals, let's quickly talk about the 76ers and the Celtics. Now, 76ers had every opportunity possible to pretty much end the Celtics run. The problem I have is, and as we mentioned on previous shows months ago, if Embiid gets the MVP, that's all he's going to do. He ain't going to do nothing in the playoffs. Nothing. And as it all, you got past Brooklyn because you were a superior team. But when it really mattered and you had an opportunity, what happens? You blew it. Yep. And really, you have no excuse because you're the MVP. The offense slows down to a slow crawl when you're on the floor, as opposed to, we've seen James Harden without you on the floor when you were injured, how the ball was moving. Yeah, James Harden is still isoing and dribbling until there's 23 seconds left on the clock. But at the end of the day, it's still moving. The pace is faster. You slow the pace down, and if you're the star and you're the MVP and trust the process and you're he's big personality, big talk, then you have to demand the ball and you have to will your team to win.
Right.
Game 6, you had a lead going down in the final couple of minutes. You had like a 4 or 5 point lead. There was no excuse for you to lose that game. The problem I have is how Embiid handled it. He should have just, it's a poor sign of leadership. He should have just said, as the MVP, as the current MVP, reigning MVP, he should have said, I need to play better. It's your team. You're the process, right? You are the process. All the people in the process are gone, right? When you think Norris, Noel, all of them, Markelle Fultz, all of the process is gone. You are the only piece of the process.
Oh, God,
and so for you to then say, I can't win alone, that's why it's not 2 on 5.
That was good, D. Yeah.
The problem is that you threw Maxey under the bus.
Yep.
You're saying you and James Harden can't do it alone. But in the last game, you only had 15 points.
Right, exactly.
Maxey had more points than you. He shot better than you.
Yes,
so how do you then, James Harden didn't even have double digits. He had 9 points. So how do you then throw your teammates? So that is the problem that I have with Embiid. Outside of him falling every 3 plays.
Right.
He hurts his own durability, right? Because he's always falling. He's an
AD of the East.
but AD doesn't flop. I have to say that. AD is just,
he's just brittle.
He's just brittle.
Yeah. Right.
Embiid is trying to sell fouls and he's flopping and he's hurting himself. That is the problem. How many times are you going to fall in a game? So I thought his press conference was very, very weak. The fact that he was, we can't win it. It showed why all of those years he didn't get the MVP. He didn't deserve it because this year it was about a me award, right? Because it's an individual award. All the while the MVP, most valuable player. Yes, you are the most valuable player on your team, but part of that is to elevate the players around you. And if you can't do that, or part of that elevation is, hey, we live to fight another game, right?
Right.
There's always
Right.
next season. We're going to get better. I'm going to instill in my teammates that, hey, we can be better as a team. Not the first opportunity I get, I distance myself from my team and isolate certain players that may or may not be there next year, right?
Right.
So I thought it was extremely weak. What do you say?
No, you hit it on the head, D. I don't even think I could add anything to that. You're right. He sold out his teammates. And technically speaking, you probably should say, I don't have anybody to help me and Maxey. Because Maxey's considered the second best player on that team, really.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Not even Harden. So, and it's a shame. And I hope he on a low went to Maxey and said, yo, bro, my bad. I didn't mean to say it that way. Because if anybody deserves something, in terms of an apology or to have some understanding placed on his comments, whereby it looks as if clearly he threw his team on the bus, you owe that to Maxey. That boy has played well all year long and has clearly been the second best player on that team. So, it wasn't a leadership statement. It wasn't an MVP type statement at all. You failed in leadership. You failed to show up as an MVP. And so, therefore, you dropped the ball. And let me tell you something. It's going to affect your voting next year. I don't care how well you play. You're not going to be able to now. People going to remember this. So even if you're playing well, if somebody's just slightly closely playing as good as you, that guy's going to get the MVP. And don't let it be Jokic or anybody else, because they're going to get it. You know what I'm saying? Guys that can get deep into the playoffs, guys that can at least get to a finals, you can't even do that. And I think it's a travesty. I'm really sad. And you guys called it. Kudos to you, D. You called it. You said Embiid was going to fold. He was definitely going to, he was going to definitely bow out like he did. And he did. And it's a sad thing that you did not, assert yourself more in a game 7. And that's a bad thing. And so, Embiid, as far as I'm concerned, he's not that dude. And, the process, my thing is over, right? It should be over. You've won enough games, and you've gotten into the playoffs where you weren't doing that before, but only to what? You made people lose for fans to hold out for 10 years, 10 losing seasons, only to get them to the semis. That's all you've been able to do. So that's a sad thing. The organization of Philly need to be ashamed of themselves. If I'm a Phillies fan right now, I'm angry at everybody. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? And
shout out to Philly losing in every sport. I love it.
I love it. Well, I love it too. I ain't gonna lie.
Football.
Lost.
Football. Baseball. Lost.
Yeah, they did.
Basketball. Lost.
I love it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing.
Brotherly love.
I'm with you.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
And
me too.
Just about an hour or two ago, news came down that Doc Rivers was fired. Now, Doc Rivers, listen, it's a wrap, Doc. Yeah. I think Doc Rivers, I don't even think he coaches. Like, all he does is when a team makes a run on his team, he just calls a timeout, walks all the way. He's just clomping all the way to the center. That's all he does.
That's all he does.
Doc, do you have anything on that? Like, nobody cares about the raspy voice. Do you have a play for us to run? Because he just, it's so comical.
Too much Vaseline on his face. He looked like somebody that, like from the 80s. We know he used to put a lot of Vaseline. Yeah.
And I'm actually looking a little shiny today, too.
Yeah. But it's different, right? You don't look right. But he looks like he's like from the 70s. Remember your mother used to put Vaseline on your face to protect you from the cold? You know what I mean? He looks like he's got a lot of Vaseline on it. His face just looks mad shiny for no reason. It's just too much.
And it was time. It was time. Yeah. Okay, so Doc Rivers in game 7s has lost 10 straight.
That's crazy.
Listen.
That's crazy.
Say Monty. So overall, their winning percentage, because they're able to get teams to win, right?
Yeah.
Him and Monty Williams. Monty Williams was also fired, right? And there's no surprise there. I think DeAndre Ayton was one of the main reasons that he was fired, right? Because DeAndre Ayton they already had friction. And, DeAndre Ayton pretty much said, I'll show you I'm doing nothing in the playoffs. I'm going to score 9 points, 8 points in the playoffs, and force them, the new owner, Ishmael, or whatever his name is, to fire you. Ishby or whatever to fire you. So they all have winning records, right? I think Monty Williams will get another job, right? Because he's a good coach. He's beloved.
Absolutely.
I think Doc Rivers, I think they're gonna look long and hard before they give him another opportunity. I could be wrong, but I think Doc Rivers, he has had good players. He's had good players, good teams, and he won with the Celtics, but I think since then he's just not been able to get them over the top. And it's more than just walking to the center of the court with timeouts. You actually have to coach.
Yeah, you gotta coach.
Sometimes he trusts his team to figure it out on the floor.
Yeah.
But you got to stop the bleeding at some point.
Right.
Blood is everywhere, and you just want them to, figure it out, guys. Come on. Rise to the championship level. And sometimes you need someone to say, I need you to do X, Y, Z. Get the ball here. I want you in this position. And he clearly hasn't done that, or they've tuned him out. Any way you cut it, it was definitely time to sever ties with Doc Rivers. And I'll say this, Monty Williams, he got fired too. 3 more years, $20 million, they still owe him. There's no loser, right? Listen, nobody is crying. Any of them
nobody's feeling sorry for any of these guys.
Guaranteed, right?
Guaranteed money.
And so your money is still coming no matter what. You can get another job. Like you could take time. I mean, I don't know. But
I feel like this. I feel it's sad though. You know what I mean? That the league has gotten to a place, and it's that way in football too, in the major sports, NBA and NFL, that we're in a day and age now where this win now mentality, right? I think it really fractures an organization, because I feel like, you don't give guys enough time to figure out. They're right there. A tweak here, tweak there. It's like, you get a guy who can get a team to a conference finals, to a finals, much like what Monty did, right? If Monty gets a guy, it seems like you chose the player over the coach, right? Ayton, you chose Ayton over Monty Williams. Like, Ayton is trash no matter how you look at it, no matter what you do. And so to me, it's like, if you can find a way to make an adjustment, right? Figure out what you want to do with Chris Paul, bring him back, get somebody else in there, figure out a way to get the team better. And a lot of this, I think, falls on GMs too, because I think they get away with a lot. A lot falls on the coach, but the GM, you know what I'm saying? Because Daryl Morey, you gave nothing to the Sixers, right? Their team has no depth. That team has no players outside of Maxey, and you got the worst contract in the world with what's his name with the Sixers. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm having a brain fart. I want to bring him up earlier. He's trash. Harris. Is it Harris?
Oh yeah.
Tobias Harris.
Harris.
Got beachy. You only brought him over because he had some few good years in LA when he was with Doc Rivers over there. He's trash. And he's getting $39 million next year. And it's sad. It's sad. So you got all of these situations here, and I think it's bad when you don't give these coaches. Now, Doc needed to be fired. All Doc needed to do to keep his job, if he'd have just gotten a huddle and said, see that guy right there, the big guy, give him the ball, he's the MVP. That's it. Harden, I need you to get him the ball. That's it. Even if you didn't have a play drawn up, no X's and O's, just say, Embiid, I need you to get down on the block. Harden, get him the ball. Everybody's going to get Embiid the ball. Embiid, you figure out what to do once you get the ball in your hand. They double team you, kick it out. If not, go aggressive to the hole. Simple as that. That's a simple, basic one-on-one coaching move, which is basically to say, give the ball to your best player. I think Tex Winters and Phil Jackson even at some point said, forget the triangle. We just give the ball to Mike, and that's it, right? And that's it. We sit back. He's going to fold his legs. He's going to look, and he's just going to watch Michael do his thing. That's all Phil had to do, and that's all Doc had to do. But I just want to say that I think it's a bad thing, though. But you look at Budenholzer, you look at Monty. These guys have had success. Like, it's hard to win in this league. Like, people think it's just like, I'm supposed to be in the finals every year. No, you're not. It's hard to win. It's hard to get to these levels throughout the playoffs and get into a final, much less a regular season game where you got to fight and scratch and adjust and deal with injuries and media and all kind of distractions and all kind of other things that come with that. And then you just lose the game because, oh, well, you know what? You didn't get it done, Monty. Well, you gave me no bench. Not that I'm sure Monty was in agreement with the KD trade, but you had to understand. And if I was Monty, I would have been like, look, it's great that we got KD. We got him for the future. Obviously, we can build around him and book. But understand, we ain't got no depth. So if we don't get through the playoffs this year, please understand that. Don't try to put that on me or anybody else. We have no depth. So we gave away some of our best depth players. Cam is not here. Mikal is not here. We don't have guys that we can play with that can give our starters some meaningful rest. So the truth of the matter is, I think this league is, owners have got to think this thing through and say, GM, I'm putting it on you to make sure that the team has depth, that there's better players, not just one or two guys, but that we got depth. That's why, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Laker fan, but regardless of what happens in the Western Conference Finals, whether we get bumped or not, but kudos to Rob Pelinka for at least getting guys on the Lakers to help AD and LeBron with some depth and some pieces that we needed. And that's what these GMs didn't do. You go for the gold. You went for the KDs. You went for the Hardens. You felt like we got the superstars. It's a two-man superstar league. Let's go ahead and make it happen. We can win. But you can't win without depth. Know who won these championships for Miami when LeBron was there? It was guys like Mike Miller. It was guys like Shane Battier. Those are the guys that won those chips for them because they was able to hit all them threes and was able to be very, very productive as a supporting cast. That's what you're going to need. And I think it's unfair to see these coaches, particularly Budenholzer and Monty Williams, have to lose their job. At least give these guys another year or two to figure it out, or fire them with at least another year on their contract left. Monty, what did you say? He had 3 years left? Is that how many years he had left? That's crazy. I think that's crazy. And he's a good coach. Yeah, he got blown out twice in a closeout game, but still, nevertheless, man, I think that was unfair. And I think Monty probably should have still gotten another year at least to keep his job. And it's unfair that everybody wants to win now when you really can't. It's really hard.
Well,
it's hard.
I'll say this. I understand somewhat the win now. When let's just think about Boston, for example. Boston stands to, if they want to keep Jaylen Brown and Tatum, they have to be willing to pay them $600+ million to have both of them, to get to extend them.
Right.
You got to get a return on your money, on your investment. So it was developing players in football, in basketball. Right. The direct correlation is the amount of money that they're making. You don't have time. When you're paying somebody, if you're running a company and they're paying you McDonald's wages, they may have some time. But if you're getting big money, you can't have but so much patience. The development, you're going to have to learn on the fly. And I understand that it's unfortunate and there are some casualties because grand scheme, out of the 3 coaches that got fired, maybe Monty should have gotten another season, right? But you have to prioritize your commodity over someone who can manage it. And DeAndre Ayton, he quit. He quit on Monty.
Right. He did.
From the owner's perspective, I can perhaps find, you're not my guy anyway. I can find someone, another coach, to manage these players, manage the egos, try to get them to fit, move on from Chris Paul if that's what you want to do. Try to get some role players. People are now going to be attracted to Phoenix because now they have 2 big names, right? And they have a promise of, so it is an attractive destination to coach and to play. And if DeAndre Ayton, and the word is that Booker and KD were okay with it. Yeah, it was run by them and they made the decision and they ran it by them. Yeah. Well, LeBron is a coach firer too.
He is.
I'll say this: you go through the superstar, and if the superstar says, yeah, it's okay. If he dies, he dies. then that's it. He dies, right? They got Ivan Drago, right? So listen, Apollo Creed, they Apollo Creed him, right?
They Apollo Creed him, right?
It's over, right? So with that being
right.
said, it's an attractive location. So you understand that players are going to go there. You would hope players would now come there. You would hope that you're able to move on from Chris Paul, his contract, even DeAndre Ayton. Maybe you are able to move him, get a big man and another piece, right? Because DeAndre Ayton, I find it hard to believe that as good as he was in college and as good as he is in the pros, that he can only give you 8 points. That is quitting. That is forcing the new owner, who you know is antsy. He's not used to losing, right? Billionaires aren't used to not getting their way, right? Exactly. So at some point, they want production. And if he's looking at how it turned out last year, he's looking at body language, probably having conversations with them. Well, what do you think we can do? DeAndre Ayton, he might see him in practice balling out, but then when it's time to play, he's putting up 8 points and 8 rebounds. That is a quit. He is the direct, I think, of outside of
I agree with that.
New ownership, he is the reason why Monty got fired, right? Because if you have a big three, right? If we seen when if DeAndre Ayton, right? We seen when Shamet put up 19 points, they won the game. If DeAndre Ayton put an average for the series 18 points, maybe 10 or 12 rebounds, and then you have a big three that's putting in points, right? You can really check them off. Okay, KD is going to give you 30. Booker may give you 35, right? Okay, so you got 65 there. If Ayton can give me 20, right? Okay, I'm getting 75, 80 points from these three. Then the other players. Then you have something to build on. But if there's animosity and there's an issue with the coach and a player that they didn't really want to give an extension to, they just matched the offer that Indiana was doing. They didn't want him. So best case scenario is they move on from him and Chris Paul and maybe get some younger, bigger players, get some size.
They could have done that by keeping Monty, which we both agree with, that he probably should have still kept his job. But I think Ayton is not really the issue. I think it goes back to, and I put more blame on Devin Booker, not so much KD, who just got there. But Booker, look, you've played for Monty for the last several years. He's elevated the team, made them more competitive. They showed, great signs in the bubble that year, and then they kept that momentum going. And then they get to a finals, okay? They lost to a better Milwaukee team. Let's just put it that way, right? And, so they get here again. You didn't even give Monty a chance to really get acclimated to KD, right? Came in half the season. KD was hurt. Didn't really get a chance to really play with him. But again, I feel there's some onus there. What Booker could have said, hey, look, you know what? Let's give him another chance. Let's get some depth. Let's get something. Look, they can walk away from Ayton. He's a free agent. He's a restricted free agent from what I understand. If I understand his contract situation correctly, he's a restricted free agent. They can match his offer, whatever offer he gets in the off season. Maybe they don't match the offer. Let him walk. Whatever he gets, so what? Y'all take him by. Let him go. You got now more cap space. You can bring in some more people to help with that and get some free agents. No, I'm sure people want to play in Phoenix, right? You want to play with KD and Booker. No taxes out there, state tax at least. You go out there, you can play some ball. And I think you still had a really good opportunity to do something. And if this is about Ayton, who is like you're not that dude. No one should lose their job because of Ayton. I don't care. And you thinking you more than what you are by quitting on a team? Yo, bro, bye. We don't need you. You're not that dude. I could see KD quitting. Heck, even Kobe one time quitted on the team. Didn't shoot the ball for a whole half and just was passing the ball. He just tried to make a statement because he was angry, right? Kobe was temperamental, but Kobe could be that. He's Kobe freaking Bryant. You're DeAndre freaking Ayton. You are a nothing nobody in a uniform. Nothing. So you getting a pout and you crying and not having your way, you are trash. They don't need you. Okay. And I hope another team look at you the same way and not even give you. I don't want to curse the guy. Look, get your bag, DeAndre. Do your thing. All right. All I'm saying is that, look,
we'll take him in Brooklyn.
DeAndre. Huh?
We'll take him in Brooklyn.
Yeah, you should take him in Brooklyn. Yeah, you need some size in Brooklyn. Actually, he might be a good fit out there. I don't blame him. Yeah, plus he out there with a couple of his former teammates too. So I think it's a good look. But yeah,
Arizona does have tax though. By the way, I know you said they have.
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm thinking of Vegas. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Nevada.
I think Vegas got tax too.
I think Nevada's tax free. They're state. I think they don't do state. Nevada.
You sure?
Yeah, and I think Arizona too. D. Am I right or wrong? Are you looking at it?
Arizona has a 4.90% corporate income tax rate, a 5.60% state sales tax rate, and max local sales tax rate of 5.
Payroll? What about with no income tax? In other words, that's what I'm talking about. Income tax.
All right, we have a financial literacy.
Brooklyn Biz, Brooklyn Bills.
Right. Right. Oh man.
Oh
listen.
my God. All right, I'm sorry.
Now there is a place. No, I think you're on to something, because there are places that they tell you if you're starting an LLC, start it there, because. But I don't remember.
No, you're right. Arizona does not. No state taxes. Alaska, Tennessee, Wyoming, New Hampshire, Florida, South Dakota, Texas, Nevada, and Washington. I was thinking of Nevada, but yeah, you're right. Arizona does have state tax, so yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We want to. Yeah. Brooklyn.
For those that for
the people
considering, right.
Starting an LLC somewhere.
Start an LLC, right.
If you're looking to retire and you're on a fixed income.
Right, there you go, right.
So, listen, let's quickly talk about Ja Morant. Okay, so Ja Morant, we already know, obviously, I had posted some videos on Facebook about when he had the first gun incident and what our takes were, right? And there is no surprise, because listen, Memphis, the Grizzlies kind of led that. They kind of directed the narrative around his first issue, right? He's away from the team. Then he was in Florida. Then the NBA stepped in and suspended him, but he was gone a total of 8 days, and he got the help. And the ESPN went on to have him, talk to Jalen Rose, and Jalen Rose, I'm Ja Morant. And it's just, listen, everybody was trying to coddle him because he is a really, really good basketball player.
Right.
I don't know what his parents are doing, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't judge other people's parenting. Right. But I will say this. I found out some information that was public knowledge information. Some of those incidents that took place, his mom was the cause of it. Wow. The issue at Finish Line, the sneaker place,
right?
She got bad service. Let me just say this. When you get bad service in an establishment, a restaurant, you go to shopping and they don't treat you right, or they follow you around the store, or anything. Right. The salesperson is nasty. It feels like they're doing you a favor by servicing you. Right. How do you do that? You don't buy anything from them. That's what you do, right? Because it affects their bottom line. Right. She had bad service. It's alleged that she had bad service in Finish Line. Whoever was helping her got an attitude. She didn't like it. She calls her son, the millionaire basketball player, and says that she got bad service. Ja Morant comes up with 9 other people. Jeez. The person was forced to stay in the back, lock themselves in the, I guess, the back office. Yes. Really? Oh, and, Ja Morant, it's alleged that the kid was Ja Morant and that gang was knocking on the door, said they'll wait for him, when he gets off. Now, it's the mom called him for that. Wow. They're waiting outside. When the kid gets off, this is when he gets involved in the mall security.
Right. I
This
heard about
ties
that
over
part.
to the
I didn't
mall
hear about this
security.
other stuff you just mentioned, but the
The
mall
finish
security
line,
part.
yes.
Right.
So the
Okay.
mall security situation pops off, and he's trying to diffuse it. Hey guys, why don't y'all go and leave? And then that blows up into a whole big thing. The Grizzlies, they're responsible for this. The NBA is responsible for this. Nike is responsible for this because all they did was reward bad behavior. They protected him. They coddled him. They thought 3 days away. What do you have a problem? If there's a problem that you have, that needs to be addressed. If it's a substance abuse, if it's anger management, if it's a controlled substance, if it's, clout chasing, all of that will not be resolved in 3 days. It's a mentality, right?
Right.
As a man thinketh, right? So is he. So if Ja Morant thinks he is a gangster, that's not going to change in 3 days.
No,
okay?
it's not.
Someone needs to have him take several seats. And how do you do that? He already lost $40 million, right? Because he didn't make an all-NBA team. That don't bother him. Like, hey, listen, ain't no problem. No, it's just $40 million. Because Nike is still aiding and abetting his bad behavior, right?
Yeah.
They didn't pull his shoe. They didn't do anything. They just had commercials with him pushing the cart all over the place. And he's shooting all these baskets, right? They don't care about that. Powerade, we'll hold off on your commercial. You still good. You still with us, but we're going to hold off on your commercial. Once again, rewarding bad behavior. And when you do that, Memphis Grizzlies tried to control the narrative, tried to, coddle him, try to protect him, shelter him. Dylan Brooks, without any doubt, Dylan Brooks will never come back to the team. Dylan Brooks wasn't the problem. Dylan Brooks was just a marginal trash talker that talked to the wrong player. Ja Morant splintered that team. Okay? Let's be clear about it. But because they have an investment, as I said before, they will give opportunity after opportunity if you can perform. They are already committed to upwards of $200+ million to Ja Morant. And they're not going to let that investment go. But Ja Morant is now on the cusp of throwing his life away. All right? Because this is, as we said before, it's bigger than basketball. The problem is one day having the gun up to your head and showing it and thinking that's part of it, it's foolishness. And so when does somebody, he has his parents in his life. When does somebody, and I realize if someone is making the type of money, has the platform and the notoriety, it's probably tougher to be tough on them as a parent, right? Especially if you want to be cool and you want to have, floor seats at all the games and dapping it up with players and, having a mini kind of celebrity based off of your son. And it's hard to then draw a line and say, son, you are headed for destruction. You are trying to prematurely end your own life. Forget basketball. It's not about basketball at all. People die daily with gun violence. And if you think it's a joke, you think it's a song, you think it's, listen, brandish your gun to the wrong person. Places like New York, California, it's a little difficult to conceal carry, right? They make it hard in certain places. In the South, you go to Walmart and get a gun. You can go anywhere and get a gun.
Easily.
Brandish a gun to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Your life will end. The ticker at the bottom of ESPN will say, Ja Morant, star player, dead at age whatever. And that's how his father has to talk to him. Ja Morant, you're doing stupid stuff. And so it's no surprise to me because there was no real, he wasn't sorry for what he did. There was no, even in the interview, he was robotic. He didn't have his fronts in. They wanted him to act a certain way and look a certain way. As it progressed, the fronts were back in. He's doing, he may not be shooting on the sideline, but he's still that bravado. that doesn't escape you.
No.
So Dylan Brooks, we find out more than their success of getting eliminated from the playoffs. They tried to make him the fall guy, but they also tried to make him the fall guy and the excuse for Ja Morant's behavior. He's the leader of the team.
Correct.
What do you say?
That's all I could say, D. Make sure you clip that. Get that whole soliloquy. I thought that was, I mean, just awesome. Just awesome. You know, I've just felt inspired. It was like a Tupac, you know what I'm saying? Felt almost like a Tupac, man, it was awesome, D. Everything you said, man. Yeah, make sure you clip that because I think that was powerful. And the only thing I would add to what you said, man, is it's really messed up that Kyrie posts or supports or promotes a video and Nike kills his contract. And Ja Morant does all the things that he's done and even most recently and still has a contract. And you
signature
look at
shoe.
A signature shoe. Mind you, a signature shoe at that, right? You know. So that just goes to show you again that we're dealing with a bigger thing, right? We're dealing with something where there are levels to this society in terms of who and what we can offend. And depending upon what it is, consequences will meet itself accordingly. And it's unfortunate that that is the case. And we see again that Black America in what we do, does anybody really care? Does anybody really truly have concern for the level of mindset, behavior, the mentality, the decisions that are being made when you see these young stars at this level? And really the only thing that anybody's really ever concerned with is what? Is investment. And you said it earlier in our other take as we were going through this show today. It's about the money. And that's all it is. And until they can figure out how they're going to shift from a Ja Morant to somebody else, we got to work with what we've got, and we got to make this thing happen. When you send a kid to Florida for 9 days to try to get, as you eloquently stated, a gangster mentality out of their mind, that's not going to work. And clearly nothing was done. I don't, honestly, as far as I'm not concerned, I don't even think he went to rehab. I don't think he went anywhere. I just think he hid out somewhere in a very, obviously undisclosed location, chill.
It was 3 days. He was in Florida.
Oh, was it?
3 days.
Okay, no.
The total suspension was 8 days.
Was 8 days, right? So that's what I'm thinking of. Right. So a three day getaway, pretty much, is what he had, and clearly nothing came out of that. And you're only talking a few months after the transgressions that occurred. And this is even, and again, something that is close to what he was just suspended for in terms of the act itself being very much similar. So again, when we look at the power construct, we look at America, we look at our economy, we look at our systems in place as relates to marketability, product, brand, money. That's what all of this boils down to, and who you can offend and who you cannot offend. And again, I'll end it with this. Kyrie supports a video. Nike contract gone. How many games did he get suspended for? I mean, did he get, was how many games was that? I can't recall.
It was over 8. It was over 8 for sure.
And not only that,
he had to go through a whole laundry list of stuff.
They posted all the things, the stipulations that he had to meet, okay, in order to get back in the league, and had to be apologetic. He had to walk like a dog with his tail between his legs. He had to but pretty much lose his manhood to get back onto the basketball court. And Ja gets an interview with a player, and I know you took some exception even to that, okay, and rightfully so, although I thought maybe ESPN for marketability reasons, trying to get some relevancy there and some relatability there. But at the end of the day, it was a trash interview, right? Ja's robotic, as you stated. The questions are clearly scripted, as we could see, right?
Softball,
softball. And Jalen Rose is no reporter. He's no one's going to mistake him for, Walter Cronkite or anybody else that knows how to interview people. He's not going to be mistaken for that. So clearly out of his league with that. So again, we're looking at a dichotomy when it comes to these players and what is important. Again, it's who you offend, who you cannot offend, what you could say and what you cannot say, and what is completely intolerable. And that's what we're looking at when it comes to this situation with Ja Morant. But all of what you said, D, is spot on. And well said. I don't disagree with not one iota of what you mentioned. So
now I will say this. NBA is on the clock. If they can't drag this out, right? Because you got to really make a statement. Right. I think based on what he's done, right? Minimum, I would say at least 50 games. Really, to make a statement, suspend him for a year. Suspend him for a year.
I say a year.
Suspend him for a year.
Definitely say a year. I would definitely say a year. I'd have no problem with that at all.
No problem whatsoever. Because he is, I mean, if they really care about him, and it should be some type of treatment, right? Outpatient treatment that he is, that's mandatory to be reinstated, right? Because NFL does that, right? You have some kind of issue, you have to go through, Josh Gordon, right? Josh Gordon had to go through all this. He had a drug problem. He had to go through, before he could be reinstated. Yeah. You have to show us, right? We're not going to take your word for it that you're better.
Right. No, I totally agree. He needs to go on tour. He needs to go on tour and speak to kids, go and do symposiums and talk and lecture, do all that, because now you're going to have to put your actions and they're going to match up with your mouth now. And you're going to have to go out there and be a public figure to promote nonviolence and
Nike should force that. Nike also.
Nike also.
NBA should suspend him.
I agree.
They should give him a laundry list of things that he needs to do to be reinstated. And Nike, as a person that has a signature shoe, needs to say, hey, who is supporting you, buying your shoe, you are actually blemishing our reputation. It's up to you to fix the blemish that you've created. So what you're going to do, since you have a platform to deal with the youth, we need you as part of the contract, or we're going to drop you. I mean, Nike got money. They got money to burn. So they can just cut him. Absolutely. Hey, listen, just like anything else, your shoe.
But you know what, though, D?
Let me tell you, on the Nike, when they were done with Kyrie, his shoes were dime a dozen. His shoes were almost free on Nike. They'll get rid of whatever their little surplus and keep it moving. If they really want to make a statement, that's what they do. And if they're serious about the people that Ja Morant, that audience that he's reaching, the demographic that they paid him that big money to reach, because they do their marketing and they know who they're marketing him for. So if they really care, they need to put their money where their mouth is, and as a representative of Nike, they need to hold him to the standard that they would expect the company. Obviously that tarnishes the company image. So have him out there, like you said. They should have all kind of different networking situations where he's able to talk to kids. That's a good idea. Take the next year to repair yourself and repair the damage that you've caused to impressionable minds.
I agree with you about Memphis too, though. Again, there needs to be onus put on them. And I think the problem is this with Memphis. Small market, and they're afraid to let go, right? Because what Ja's bringing to that market is so much money. And it's hard for a team like them to get that level of superstardom in their market again. So that's why they're going to keep holding on. They're going to keep trying to give Ja a lot of chances because, again, small market team. And the NBA understands that too. And so because they need to keep some stars across the map, right? And you want to try to bring some productivity in terms of what you're able to monetize, because it helps the whole league, right? When your smaller market teams are even doing well, right? And so, that again, to my point, it's not about the player, it's about the bottom line. And if we can somehow finagle this to keep the money coming in somehow, some way. We'll take a little hit here and there, but we can't let go of this in full investment, to your point earlier, because there's just too much to lose, and we don't have anyone to replace him in that market right now. We don't have another player. It's not like they got anybody in Memphis that can even match the stardom and the polarizing, affection that Ja brings to the city there. So it's again, goes back to all of those things. And you're right, Memphis also needs to be held accountable. So, but again, they won't, but we'll see. But no, you know what? They're going to end up with a 5-game suspension, and that's it. That's what they'll give them. And Nike still won't cut him, and that's the problem. But again, a video that Kyrie supported, that had content that again is,
and you had that, and you had the option to click on it or not. It wasn't right. He just posted a link.
Right, just posted a link. Nothing detrimental, nothing. Although it's these things can lead to, and let me be careful when I say this. It could lead to a lot of things in relationship to a community being excoriated, right? Or becoming vulnerable to violence. And I do understand that. But at the same time, right? Amazon was never forced to take it down. And there's a lot of content that's out there across what we see. Again, we see a lot of movies, we see TV shows that glorify violence, glorify guns, glorify murder, drug dealing, all of these things that we see, all right? And again, these things perpetuate what we see in our community, right? I mean, Ja's only representing, or I would say just being a replica or an expression of everything else that goes on in our culture, right? The bad parts of it, at least, right? And so that's what he's exemplifying. That's what he's exhibiting. And so again, is anybody saying, hey, look, this isn't good because it brings or perpetuates even further what's going on in our community? None of the big brands say that. NBA is not saying it specifically that way. Okay? Nike is not saying it specifically that way. But when it's other communities, they get very explicit about the level of damage that this can do to a community. But they never say that about the African American communities and what that does, because it's just, hey, that's what they do. It's just who they are. So, we just can't have that because, we have.
You have an option. You don't have to do that.
Right. We're
just presenting an option. There's a Ja Morant, and then there's another person. You don't have to. But when they don't allow the same openness and willingness to explore all the options, when it's something negative from a different,
right? You're right. No, and that's the point I'm just trying to make.
It's ridiculous.
You get very explicit about the damage that something can do to one community, but you don't have that same explicit expression of the damage that it can cause,
or censoring, like a censorship of, okay, we're not going to allow this to go on. Right? Because this is damaging. They are willing to allow us to portray damaging. They're allowing us, the Ja Morants. They allow their platform not to shrink, to grow, although they are exhibiting behavior that is counterproductive to the community, that is damaging to the community. It's like, okay, no problem. We'll give you a platform. We'll give you a shoe. We won't punish you. You'll be above the law. We'll kind of we'll just keep playing ball. Just keep playing ball. We're not gonna hurt you. All the stuff that you do towards your community, or the impressionable minds that are looking at you and wanting to pattern themselves after you or look at you as a role model. Don't worry. Just as long as you play well, we'll look past that.
Right. That's it. That's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's not affecting the culture or another culture. It's not affecting the fabric of their families. It's not affecting the fabric of their economy. It's not affecting the fabric of their longevity and what they perpetuate as far as family values are concerned. There are some communities at the end of the day that the dollar doesn't matter to them. It's about perpetuity of control, and it's about the family dynamics. Whereas in our community, that doesn't take precedence. So as long as there's denigration in our community, somebody benefits from that. And so they say, let that continue to be. So to your point, Ja, play ball. We don't care if what you're doing is hurting your community, because that's what you all do. It is what it is. So just go on and do it. We'll figure it out. We'll find a way, because guess what? You play ball, we win, you still make money, and it's a good thing, and it's a win-win for everybody. But meanwhile, there's a reality on the other side of the business that they're not acknowledging, that is detrimental to the fabric of a community, to the family dynamics that we see in our community that's still being destroyed, and they don't care. And until they find another John Morant, they'll figure this out until that happens. And that's all it is, another commodity that doesn't really matter. If Kyrie was in another team in a small market, maybe it could have been different. Doubt it, because again, it's what was purported to be dangerous to another community. And that's the thing that we got to look at. And so it's a double standard all the way around. Always has been, always will be. And that's the thing that we're looking at today. And it's unfortunate, D. And it's really sad. And it is frustrating. And so, like I said, all the points that you brought out earlier, great soliloquy, well said. You hit all the valid points that relate to this and John Morant and his decisions and his actions. And you know what I would love to see? I would love to see KD's mom or Jason Tatum's mom reach out to a mother of John Morant and say, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to support your son. We get it, because our sons are superstars too, with a lot of money. But you see them sitting on the sidelines cheering their son and just not getting caught up in drama and all of this stuff. Let's have, let's let the moms of the NBA, like they have all these other different programs and clubs and stuff that the NBA has. Let the moms get together. Let the moms reach out and say, hey, listen, Miss Morant, what can we do? We like to help step in and see what we can do. You know what I'm trying to say? John's part of the NBA family. He's one of ours. This league is predominantly black. He's one of our sons, just like everyone else. What can we do? Let's work together and make sure that we get him the right support system and whatever it needs. What can we do for you? How can we help you out? Share with us your struggles and what you're finding that other people in communities don't understand. But we get it. We're single mothers that raised our children, although John has a father, but still at the same time, let the parents pull up and come as a community and be able to help the family in that way, or something to that effect.
Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%. Man, fantastic show.
Fantastic show, bro.
Man, shout outs to Infinite Audio for the music.
Yes.
Fantastic music.
Appreciate it,
Shout outs to Kingdom Creative for the production.
KC in the
fantastic building. Production. Rod, thank you for joining. Awesome show, bro. Man.
Good show
we'll see. It should be a good game tonight.
Yeah.
Go Nuggets.
Go Lakers.
But wear that L hat.
Not the L.
I like that. The Lakers.
I did that too quick.
No, it's perfect.
It should be that L right there. Let that L.
Yeah, whatever. But once again, like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page.
Please do.
We appreciate all the support and help.
We love it, man.
We love the comments. Until next time, peace.
Peace.